Greetings, my excellent friends. The Dead Monk welcomes you to Purgatory. And I heard very recently that, the current status is, Ruin Johnson's out. For like the, fifth, sixth time. And, as much as I want to believe that, is he really out? Because you have to ask yourself one question, and here's the question for the video. Has Disney ever made a correct decision in regards to Star Wars? As far as I know, the answer is no. So what makes you think they would finally make the right choice and throw Rue into the curb? I would still not be surprised if he gets a movie or a trilogy of movies. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. It's fucking Disney. They don't have a clue what they're doing with Star Wars, and they never have. And consider this, right? As of, a month ago? They still had plans for two different trilogies. A Ruin trilogy and a Benioff and Weiss trilogy. And, they're out. They chose to leave it on their own. Now, I don't know about that. May have been a forced resignation, whatever the case may be. I don't care. I mean, they would have made garbage anyway. And I love, sidetracking a little bit, I love that interview they had. Well, not interview, it was a little Q&A session at some convention, or I don't know, something like that. Basically where they admitted they were hacks and had no idea what they were doing when they made Game of Thrones. And I laughed my ass off, because this is what I was saying season 1. I mean, I wasn't on YouTube. I wasn't even dead. I wasn't in purgatory yet. But that's what I was saying season 1 to all my friends. I said, they don't know Game of Thrones. I said, they don't know the characters, just look at Littlefinger. Littlefinger was perfect encapsulation of the complete lack of understanding of the characters. And, everyone else saw that by the end of the show, and they even admitted it. They didn't understand the characters. It was great. I felt so justified. Anyway, they would have made some shite with Star Wars, but they're out. And if Ruin's out too, that means they're down from, let me count. They had 2 trilogies that they had planned, and now they're down to 0. And yes, they've also said recently, Star Wars movies are going to take a hiatus. Yeah, maybe. But I still wouldn't put it past them. But Ruin's still going to get movies, so. Let's stop calling this Star Wars. Look. The sequel trilogy, it doesn't have Luke Skywalker. That's not real Luke Skywalker, that's Jake Skywalker. And it doesn't have real Han Solo. That's a poor facsimile of Han Solo, that's Jake Solo. So why are we still calling it Star Wars? It's Jake Wars, call it what it is. I mean, most of the time I refer to it as Disney Wars or Jar Jar Wars, but let's go with Jake Wars. I had Jake Wars Episode 7, Good Morning Force, Jake Wars Episode 8, The Last Unicorn, and soon to be released Jake Wars Episode 9, Luke's Erection. Although I guess that'd be Jake's Erection, but we'll leave it as Luke's Erection. Right, isn't that what it's called? Pretty sure that's the title of the movie, Luke's Erection. Alright, anyway. It's Jake Wars. So look at what Disney's done. Well, so I said they've never made a correct decision. Every decision they've made has contributed to what used to be Star Wars becoming Jake Wars. Alright, so let's review. What did they do? What year was it they got Star Wars? When it was still Star Wars? I think that was 2011? Or it was 2011 or 2012. I don't recall. I think 11. Anyway. One of the first things they did. Bad decision. They ditched all the novels. They said, none of this is canon. We're going to change it to Star Wars Legends. We're not going to let anybody write these books anymore. Alright, can't add to that story. We're going to have our own stories. And boom, right there, I stopped reading novels. Well, there were still a few that were in production at the time that were being written, and they let those finish off. And I didn't read those. I think I read all of them. Well, my history with the novels is, if it was prequel era garbage, I didn't read those. No offense to anyone who likes the prequels. You can if you want. I hate the prequels, and you know what? I need to make another video. Stop making me defend the prequels. I'm doing that next. But I hate the prequels. I don't want to read any novels about the prequels. But all the other stuff, I read every one. And now they're saying, no, that's out. These stories suck. We're going to make our own. And, you know, if they'd actually made some good stories, that would have been okay. They didn't. So that was the first fuck up, was saying, all the novels are gone. There were some great characters they could have done there. You know, they could have just, if they wanted to still have the old actors, right? Luke, Carey, Harrison, Billy D. Right, if they still wanted to have those actors, they could have jumped ahead 30 years. There were stories in the novels. Yeah, they could have done the Yuzhan Vong War, right? And, you know, changed it around, whatever, write their own version of it. But that would have been something different. It wouldn't have just been them fighting the Empire. I mean, shit, the New Rebellion had to team up with the Imperial Remnant and that. Right, they're fighting alongside the Star Destroyers and all that. It could have been something different. No, all that, it's gone. None of these cool new characters, no Mara Jade. She's great. No, none of that. So that was the first mistake. Now, they do have the comic book line now, because that's similar to books. I've never read a Disney's Marvel's Jake Wars comic. Just not interested. I don't even know. I think they're mostly original trilogy. And I'm sorry, I refuse to call it the original trilogy. It's just the trilogy. I think it's mostly the trilogy era is what the comics are, but I could be wrong. I don't give a fuck about Disney's Marvel's Jake Wars comics. I think that's the official title. Disney's Marvel's Jake Wars. I don't know. Alright, but that was the first thing they fucked up. Books. Next. They had this great part of Lucasfilm and all that called LucasArts. They made video games. And through the years, there were so many good Star Wars video games. LucasArts made a bunch of other video games that weren't Star Wars, and most of those were pretty damn good. Oh, here's one right here, I think. Yeah, Day of the Tentacle. Or was that just Maniac Mansion? Oh, it's both. So many good ones. And yeah, some of the Star Wars games weren't the best. So many great games, and they said, you know what? Video games are another avenue where people can enjoy Star Wars, and this can drum up more interest in it and get more people buying movie tickets and buying action figures. But yeah, we don't need Star Wars video games. And they gave the exclusive license to fucking electronic farts. That's another video I need to make. I've been so busy lately. I have these videos I want to make. I haven't done it. Electronic fucking farts. And they gave them the exclusive license to Star Wars in 2012. And in 7 years, all there has been were 2 shitty Star Wars skins of Battlefield. And I'm not interested in Battlefield. And I'm not interested with Battlefield with a Star Wars skin over it. And that's all they've done in 7 years. Now, in just a few days, they have a new game coming out. It's called like, I don't know, I think it's called like Star Wars EA Still Sucks. Something like that. And it wasn't even a Star Wars game. Or at least what I read was, I think it's Respawn, that division of electronic farts that made it. But they were just making some game that wasn't Star Wars. And then eventually Electronic Arts came along and said, can you slap a Star Wars skin on that? So this isn't even a Star Wars game. And it's EA, it'll suck. But instead of just licensing out Star Wars to whatever companies come to them with a good idea and say, hey, we'd like to make this game about Star Wars. Yeah, will you let us do that? Will you let us pay for the licensing rights so we can make this? No, none of that. They just said, Electronic Arts, it's all yours. And they've made, including the one that's about to come out, 3 fucking games that are all just some other game that they slapped this Jake Wars veneer over it. Keep forgetting to call it Jake Wars, that's what it is. So video games, they fucked that up. The worst decision they could make, give one company exclusive rights, and they picked the worst company to do that. Like I said, everything they've ever chosen to do with Star Wars has turned it into Jake Wars. They hired Kathleen Kennedy. Wrong choice. She sucks. I think we know enough about how she sucks. They hired Jar Jar Abrams. The guy who every movie is just copying other movies and adding mystery boxes and having the plot go so quickly that you don't have time to think about what's going on so that you can know that it's all a load of garbage because, oh, this happens and this and this and this and this. But if you actually have time to think about it, or if you're watching it a second time or third time, you realize, oh, this is nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. That guy, they hired that guy. The only time I thought he ever would have been good for Star Wars was the very first time I saw his shit Star Trek remake. Well, not remake, sorry. His shit Star Trek movie just called Star Trek. The very first time I saw it. When I hadn't seen a Star Trek movie in a long time, and it was like, it's nice to have Star Trek, and it's okay. But then when I watched it a second time, once it came out on video, I said, oh, no, keep this asshole away from Star Wars. He'd be horrible for it, because this is a shitty, shitty movie. He is so terrible. And I'm glad that people are finally waking up to that. I mean, I don't know, it boggles my mind how so many people loved his movie, but then hated Rian Johnson's movie. To me, they were exactly the same. They're both garbage. But I talked about all that when I finally got around to watching The Last Unicorn a month ago. Finally watched it, and yeah, it was just like Jar Jar's movie. It was just like Good Morning Force. Anyway, they hired Jar Jar. Big mistake. I don't know exactly who they should have gotten to direct some new Star Wars movies, but it sure as fuck wasn't Jar Jar Abrams. Hey, he's been rumored for Star Trek. Hey, why not Quentin Tarantino? It at least would have been interesting. There was a book called Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina, I think it was called. But that's part of Star Wars Legends now. I think that's what it's called. Something like that. That would be perfect for Quentin Tarantino. You know, some kind of little anthology movie. Bunch of little stories involving things like bounty hunters and smugglers and drug runners and that kind of stuff. Right up his alley. Anyway, then they hired Rian Johnson. Another mistake. And, well, as well as, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy, and part of the mistake of getting her was all the people she brought in. What are they called? A writer's room, a writer's group, something where they have 30 people trying to write a story. Trying to make it paint by numbers to fit all these little things it has to fit instead of actually just writing a story. But yeah, so Kathleen, Jar Jar Abrams, and Rian Johnson. Big mistakes. Now, I never saw Rogue One, I never saw Solo, I don't know. From what I've heard about Solo, alright, this is what I know about it, because it's not much. Or at least from what I understand, the original people that were making it, I don't remember the names, but they did the Lego movies. That they were just making a movie that they weren't taken seriously, and it was kind of a comedy. And, you know, I could have gotten behind that. Again, something different. Why not? I mean, I had zero interest in a backstory of Han Solo movie. Didn't want to see that. But, you know, if they're basically making a joke out of it, not taking anything seriously, well, maybe I could watch that. But then no, they threw them out, brought in Ron Howard, made it cost about twice as much to make the movie, and they lost a bunch of money. Good job, Disney. So yeah, I haven't seen those, so I don't know. Well, definitely there was huge mistakes involved in Solo. I don't know about Rogue One. I don't need, that's not a movie I need to see. You know, who cares how they got the Death Star plans? We already know what happened after they got the Death Star plans. That's the movie. Let's see. So, yeah, you have those. Action figures. Well, it's not that they've made a mistake with the action figures as much as since they've made such trash with movies, they have no video games. I don't know if books lead to action figure sales, probably not. But yeah, movies are garbage, no video games. The new characters in the movies are garbage. Well, no one's buying toys, go figure. So there's that. And then there's Galaxy's Edge. So they have, at both American Disney theme parks, they now have the Star Wars area, Galaxy's Edge. And last I heard, which it's been a while, I haven't heard any updates, but last I heard, empty, no one goes. So they're losing tons of money on that. So there you go, Disney. There's another mistake with Jake Wars. So, yeah, more mistakes. Now, coming out in just, I think it's just a couple days, is The Mandalorian. And oh, maybe this is the first time they take a step in the right direction. But when every single step has been backward, I'm not going to keep my hopes up. And I'll watch it, but I'm not paying Disney to watch it. Fuck you, Disney, I'm not giving you money. So we'll see. But my guess is it was probably another mistake. Or maybe the mistake is banking Disney Plus on this show. That might have been the mistake. You know, kind of like CBS, where they based their entire streaming service around STD. Stupid motherfuckers. So yeah, rounding this back around to Ruin, because he is pretty round. Would you really be surprised if he still got to make Star Wars movies? They never make the right decision. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if he still gets a movie. So, in conclusion, fuck Rian Johnson, and Jar Jar Abrams, and Kathleen Kennedy, and all of Disney. Your Jake Wars franchise is utter trash. So, don't be like all those hacks. Instead, just go out there and be excellent to each other. Farewell.